criticism number 8, which is so dangerous also, that you described some from the Quran and the Sunnah text as a problematic text, and you literally said bizarre.
Again, this is something that we need to be, again, multiple angles to look at. First and foremost, if, and this is, I'm teaching this as a simple principle, if there is a preacher, a teacher, a person who has many, many lectures, if you find a clip that seems to go against everything he's preaching, you should have some husn al-dhan. What is going on? What did he mean? Okay? Unfortunately, what we find is that sometimes some of our brethren, may Allah guide them and forgive them, they take an ambiguous clip, such as this one, and they use it to negate hundreds and thousands of other clips and explicit statements. And this is, wallahi, it's as if Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that يَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْ إِبْتِغَاءِ الْفِتْنَةِ وَابْتِغَاءِ تَأْوِيلِهِ. Allah says of the Quran, forget Yasir Qadhi's speech, of the Quran, Allah says, there are people that will find ambiguous ayats and they're going to read in to cause fitna, ignoring the clear ayat. So there are always going to be people that do this. I seek Allah's refuge. I speak to these critics. I say, Ya Shaykh, Ya Akhi, please listen to hundreds of khutab and durus and lectures. Inshallah, you will find some love of the Quran and Sunnah.
What did you mean about this?
So first thing I want to begin with this is that when you find something like this, understand first. Secondly, the story of this, Ya Shaykh, is also, again, I seek Allah's refuge if I made a mistake. Let me explain what is intended and what is going on. So, during the crisis of ISIS, the fitna that's going on, and America was on high alert. And there was legislation in 22 states attempting to ban the Sharia. I don't know if you know this, is before you came to America.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, 22 states attempted to ban the Sharia. Islamophobia was all-time high during this time frame. And one city, I forgot where in Pennsylvania, I forgot where. No. One city, for the first time, got the city council to come to its iftar, to its annual event, and the mayor to come. And they invited me to be the keynote speaker. So the first time the non-Muslim delegates were coming, and the mayor has come, and they said we have never managed to get them now, and there's some talk of some issues against the Muslim community. We're asking you to come and clarify what is going on. So the bulk of my audience were non-Muslim. You have to understand this point. Now, sometimes when you're in front of a live audience, again, you have to think of words, and sometimes not the best words come out. So again, I seek Allah's refuge if the phrasing was wrong. But what was the intent? The intent is not problematic at all. Maybe the phrasing could be better, no doubt. But again, when you're put on the spot, sometimes you say things that you wish you could prepare the speech. You're not. So somebody asked me about ISIS taking slaves, something like this, and doesn't the Quran allow slaves and slavery? Okay, what I wanted to say, and maybe the wording wasn't best, but the concept is 100% clear, and I'm going to explain it, and I've explained it in the past. Actually, I explained this multiple times, is the following: that every faith community has issues that it has to struggle with. Actually, Allah says in the Quran, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْجِهَادُ وَهُوَ كَقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ. Allah says in the Quran, some things you find difficult. Okay, this is factually correct, that there are issues that you find problematic. In fact, our ulama wrote books about the problematic issues of the Quran and Sunnah.
Like who?
Ibn Fawrak, right? Mushkil al-Hadith. At-Tahawi, Sharh Mushkil al-Athar, right? Explaining the problematic ahadith.
This is
he has 11 volumes, ya Shaykh.
Oh, mashallah.
11 volumes. 11 volumes. The explaining problematic ahadith. Is Imam al-Tahawi saying, A'udhu billah, the Quran is problematic, the process? He is saying, we have problems understanding. It is problematic for us to deal with this. We don't have a solution. We're struggling to get to the solution. Right? So this was my point in trying to explain that, look, we all have issues that we find difficult to explain. They are problematic for us. This is something, Ibn Hajar, every alim, Ibn Hajar, I remember reading a commentary recently, he goes, وَهَذَا الْحَدِيثُ مُشْكِل. He says this hadith is problematic, and I don't know how to resolve, actually about the height of Adam, right? Okay. He goes, this hadith is problematic, and I don't know how to reconcile between archaeology. So what he says.
By the way, Ibn Hajar, one from the best ulama who explained the hadith. By the way, but for those who don't know Ibn Hajar.
So what I'm trying to say is that the phrasing was, again, maybe not the best, but the concept is every faith community, right? There are ahkam that they have to struggle with.
I understand.
And we have to understand how. So it's
in our
understanding. Yes. So what do we do with the issues of slavery? Wallahi, every one of us, when we go through a phase, no, the Quran doesn't actually allow milk yamin. We have to go, then we say, oh, it does actually. Now, what do we do with that? It's something we have to go through and you have to understand. I invited Dr. Jonathan Brown, Slavery in Islam is a whole lecture. Listen to that, right? And even he has a good book on this as well, that he as a Muslim had to, undergo, how do we understand these verses? It was problematic for him as a Muslim. It was problematic for me as a teenager when I first came across the verses, right? So the problem, a'udhu billah, is not in the Quran and Sunnah. The problem is in our hikmah and lack of hikmah, our struggling with it. And the context clearly shows us. In any case, I seek Allah's refuge if the wording wasn't the best, but I also gently say to my critics that, Ya akhi, please listen to my hundreds and thousands of lectures about the Quran, about the Sunnah, about the Seerah, about how I'm defending the Sharia. Then you come across 10 seconds, right, at a time and a place and a location that you don't know. Please have some husn al-dhan. I have defended the Sharia and the Quran and the Sunnah and the Seerah for my entire life. Now you come across something vague. May Allah forgive me, maybe it wasn't the best wording, but the concept was, I'm trying to explain, because the question was, doesn't the Quran allow slavery? Ya Shaykh, a non-Muslim in 2 minutes, how do you give da'wah to them when he asks you about slavery? I had a hikmah, I had a methodology, and I don't see a problem with that. We say, look, this is an issue. Yes, we as Muslims, we have to understand, maybe we're going to have some issues with it. Then I move on to tawheed, to something else. So how do you explain to a non-Muslim audience immediately? He is asking milk yamin. Does your Quran did allow milk yamin? Right? How are you going to explain to a non-Muslim this regard? And in a way that you move on to something more important. I employed a tactic. With utmost respect to those that are finding this problematic themselves, go and give da'wah and find me a better way and I'll follow it. But I employed a tactic that even you as Christians, you have things in your book that you don't know what to do with. Even you as Jews, you have things in your book, you believe in it, but it's problematic for you. This is the point. We as well as Muslims, right? We have ahkam. Allah says in the Quran, you're going to find this difficult, but you must do it. Okay, we are doing the same thing. So the problem is in our own trying to understand the hikmah.
فيا ذلي ويا خجلي إذا ما قال لي ربي أما استحييته تعصيني ولا تخشى من العتب وتخفي الذنب عن خلقي وتأبى في الهوى قربي فتب مما جنيت عسى تعود إلى رضا الرب تعود إلى رضا الرب